And some Biden temper.
Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it.
But it was also a space for an airing of, if not grievances, at least slight disappointments, and a forum for civil rights leaders to lobby Biden on everything from personnel to executive action to legislation. Many of those in the meeting urged Biden to be aggressive in his use of executive power.
I want to ask that you consider issuing an executive order to create a national task force to examine challenges to our democracy, a national voter access commission.
It's going to be important, for example, that one of your first actions is a reversal of the executive order that President Trump promulgated that essentially seeks to gag conversations about diversity, race, and history among anyone who contracts with the federal government. And so we would ask you to lend your voice and your strength and your influence.
Did you notice the shit that they're asking for does not economically change the material condition of Black folks? I don't give a fuck about you not being able to get checks from the federal government to go in and do race training, which, don't get it twisted, I see the value in it, but that's about academics getting checks. That's not about improving right now the material conditions of Black people. Y'all aren't asking for an executive order to do a study for reparations. You aren't asking for an economic empowerment act like the Latinos got and the Chinese got under Trump, and the Chinese got Asians got Asian Pacific Islanders got an empowerment act under Obama, under George Bush, and under Bill Clinton. This shit goes all the way back to the 90s. So these people need to quit trying to play games. So Joe Biden's giving us his ass kiss talking about he's only gonna do what's constitutional. So was it unconstitutional when you did that shit when you and Obama did it? Because if so, then you need to take that shit back.
But this is all tough talk, because he's so used to people kowtowing to him. You know, everybody's like, he's so used to sitting on top of Black folks and telling them what the fuck he's gonna do and not gonna do, even though he depends on our votes. And this falls on all the, like you were saying, Sam, this falls on all these Negro liberals who've been kissing his ass all this time and telling us to shut the fuck up. Well, we were right the whole time. But I'm sure they knew we were right the whole time. They were just trying to secure the bag, you know? So, all right, John, Bud, you got anything on that?
I mean, yeah, like, I am so tired of motherfuckers. Like, the big ask that we give to these politicians is about securing our right to vote. Like, we should be telling them that we aren't voting for them in the first place, number one, until they
our right to vote and get nothing.
Yeah, like, we aren't going to vote until you actually give us something that is of value, first of all. Second of all, they need our vote. They should be the one fighting for our vote. Like, we shouldn't have to tell them, and that shouldn't be the thing that we're exchanging. You know, like, this should be a given that they already have in mind.
Yeah, they should. But that was my thing before. As soon as Trump won, they should have been on this. You know, but they were too busy with that Russia bullshit that suddenly disappeared. Now we can trust the system.
They should have been on it during Obama.
Russia, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of like that healthcare shit, like, the first thing he should have been fighting for is to, like, secure our right to vote. That should have been priority number one.
That's right.
Yeah, but I think what he's alluding to here, what he alluded to earlier, is they getting ready to kiss Latino ass in order to get their vote, so they don't need our vote. That's gonna hurt their damn feelings in a minute here. Even in this cycle, they saw that they are not a coherent group.
The Dems are gonna get slaughtered in the midterms. They're gonna it's gonna be some John Wick kind of bloodbath shit.
When you add it all up, like, the amount the amount of votes they actually get from Black people versus the amount of votes they get from Latinos, I don't care what their population is doing right now. It's not adding up to what we're giving to the Democrat Party.
No, nowhere near. And even with our handicaps that they keep sliding in our way.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. John, what you got? Thanks, Bud and Sam.
Yeah, no, you guys are completely right, man. Like that shit is just the disavowal. Like he's talking to our quote unquote black leaders. Like I said, that was really saying like this is Joe Biden's the last. When we get Joe Biden in, then we could get him to do shit. And he's talking to them like they children, man. Like,
Yes,
he
is talking greasy.
Like they kids, man. Like he a daddy and like, yo, bro, you know, bro, you know who
not
you
even a
to?
daddy. He's yelling like somebody else's kids. He like,
I'm gonna beat your kid ass, nigga. I'm gonna beat his ass tomorrow. I'm like, yo, who the fuck is this dude? Like, you don't even know my mama, motherfucker.
It's your week, nigga. It's your weekend, nigga. Come get these goddamn kids.
Bro, your weekend, come get these kids while I beat their ass. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you talking to them crazy, like. And we told you, we told you Jim Crow Joe's on some real bullshit. We told you that Jim Crow Joe, real shit, he have no allegiance to the black community. We understood.
And that he's a straight up racist.
He's straight up racist, up and down, anti-black racist. He will not talk to no other minority group in this country like the way he's speaking to our quote unquote black leaders, people that fought motherfucking fucking Simone Sanders and tackled the motherfucker like Bobby Boucher out this bitch. Hit this motherfucker like, Gatorade.
Water sucks. Water sucks.
He's tackled the shit out this motherfucker. You got motherfucker Stacey Abrams, who really mobilized Georgia voters to vote for this motherfucker. Like, go on TV and embarrass her. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then now you think, man, we seen the whole shit coming together. So like, this shit is just like, well, you know, yeah, I voted for Jim Crow Joe. This is what we get. We knew this was going to come. We knew this was going to be the hardest fight that we ever going to have to fight. Like, real shit. We knew that the Trump fight was going to be hard, but
they were going to push him left, right?
Yep.
When Bernie punked out, the push him left shit was dead. It was dead. It was dead immediately.
Real talk.
I mean, but it was dead. It was dead on arrival. Like they didn't have no fucking.
That shit was DOA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's true. Because everybody that's supposed to be pushing is a punk. So I'm sorry.
They have no power. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
And they're in it for themselves and not for the people. It has been a very long time since we have had Black elected officials that were for Black people, that were actually for bettering the conditions of their people. And to be honest, at this point, I would just take a Black official who cares about poor people and improving the material conditions of poor people. Because if you would do that, at least we would get a couple dollars. But y'all not even doing that. We have the worst elected officials ever. And to see that a lot of these people got to keep their jobs, I have no words. I still don't understand why San Francisco is still standing. The fact that Nancy Pelosi got reelected, I'm serious, every last Negro that was left in Oakland should have crossed that bridge on foot and burnt San Francisco to the ground.
That's real. But but the problem is that there is no Black leadership anymore. You know, I mean, and the Democratic Party has been dumping free thinking Black folks forever. You know, that's why some recent stuff going on in our circles bothered me so much. You know, when you get rid of free thinking people, you can't grow. You can't grow. Yeah, are some free thinking people hard to control? Yeah, it happens. But if you
can grow your pocket.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Selling out Negroes is a good job. It's a good business. It's good. You can make some money selling out Black.
You know, the funny thing, the gag is when I was in my philosophy class last fall, I said that. I was like, you know, if I decided that I just wanted to sell out my people, I could go out here and make major money. I'm way smarter than Candace Owens and look better too.
Yep,
like exactly. I could be out here getting all types of grift checks, but I just love my people too much for that type of bullshit. Plus the ancestors would torture me like in fucking Tales from the Hood. I don't want the little fucking slave dolls coming to torture my ass.
They gonna come stab you the fuck up for doing that bullshit. They can't over. You already know they coming for you. But at the end of the day, but I just wanted to just say one more thing about like real shit, like what Sam was saying, the ask. Like I think Mud said it, and I think MG said it too. The ask they was asking for. That's a part of a fucking that's like a subset of a subset of a part of our overall reparations Black agenda that we asking for. Like they was asking for like, yo, Trump said some shit where like you can't be racist in certain areas. Can you flip that. They said it with their whole chest, like, yeah. I'm like, that's it. And Joe Biden said, fuck y'all. At the same time, like the littlest ass, Joe Biden was like, nah, fuck y'all. Motherfucker, I'm Joe Biden. Fuck you. I mean, I'm Jim Crow Joe. You know what I'm saying? That's
absolutely.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
I don't, what did he say? I don't feel responsible for what my forefathers did. Right? So Joe Biden is, do y'all remember, who is that black coach who was like, they were what we thought they were? Remember?
That was Denny Green.
You know who I'm talking about? Yep. That's exactly how I feel about Joe Biden. When people sitting around like, oh my God, and clutching their invisible pearls. I feel like that man, that angry, they were who we thought they were. And y'all just fucked up.
They always have been. And part of the problem is black folks are so busy trying to survive that we depend on these quote unquote leaders to tell us what's right and what's up. And we get fucked every time. Excuse me.
Shit.
Because they're not leaders that we picked, they're leaders that the Democrat Party picked.
Ooh, and speaking of that, this is why I love Clubhouse. This girl was in Clubhouse. She was preaching some truth. She's like, who nominated these people to speak for us? There needs to be some type of democratic process about what is happening when we talk about what needs to be done for the Black community. They're saying you need to be talking to, she said, y'all need to be talking to the people instead of people who have deemed themselves leaders. I was like, woo, baby. She was preaching. I was in here. I was like, woo. I had to pull out my pen and everything. I felt like I was in church, and I ain't been to church in like forever.
Yeah. But like both of you are getting to, black politics is it's been so, what's the word? Gutted, really. You know, anybody that speaks up for black folks, you get pushed out. Anybody, even white folks that try to speak up for black folks, especially on economic things, you'll get pushed the fuck out. And we allow it to happen by allowing them to elevate these people like Al Sharpton's been making money off this forever. Now they got a new generation of folks, Jamel Hills of the world, and who else? What's that boy's name? Bakari Sellers. All these folks that have been elevated to speak for us, and none of them really
Bakari
are fighting.
I didn't cut you up. Bakari sellout though. Talking about the sellout. Talking about that.
Yeah, Bakari sellout. Yeah, absolutely. Negro. Yeah.
Word up. That motherfucker put wave grease in the shower. He put wave grease in the shower. Like he a weirdo. I don't like that motherfucker. Like.
Well, I think
he's been doing bullshit for a long time, man.
But that's part of but I think that's part of the goal of this show, is to give people the tools to see through this shit, right? So if they're not fighting for us economically, it doesn't even have to be reparations. But if they're not fighting to put money in black people's pockets, guess what? They're not a leader. They're not leading us because they don't know what we need. Because what the fuck we need is money, right? Right? That's part of what we need, right? It's a big part of what we need. And if they're not talking about putting money in our pockets, like Irony says, if they're not talking about putting money in the pockets of black people, they're not a leader. They have nothing to do with the black people, the black community as the greater black community. That's period. Point blank, period. And even some of the folks that are talking about money need a little more well-rounded approach, we'll say. All right, so all right, Sam, let's go.
Influence and your power and your ability to reach across the aisle to try and pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. But failing that, we would ask you to pull from that act measures that can be enacted by executive order. You have.
And I want to say this, how you ask for something, be like, but if you don't want to do that, could you just do this little half measure instead? Because, you know, we want you to do that. I'm going to keep playing it, y'all, but I just had to throw that in there because that was some weak. That was some weak shit.
Right.
That was some weak ass shit. Go ahead, Mud. I'm sorry.
No, I said you're right. They need to put some bass in their voice and like make demands. Like
for real, I need her to talk through her uterus. Like
how you start a meeting with putting on knee pads? Yeah, absolutely.
Not even how you start a meeting, dropping your pants and turning around and flipping over. Like I brought some lube, but you don't. I brought some lube, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to.
Chill.
At least spit in your hands.
Now, everybody chill the fuck out. But they doing some. You right though. But chill the fuck out, man. Chill the fuck. God damn.
All right. Let's get. We only 4 minutes in. We got 11 minutes more to go.
The power.
Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. Be focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to U.S. Southern plantations. Lineage, Jim Crow and mass incarceration. Redline and lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one. Cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire. Anti-black we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country. To win you need our energy. You gon' see. Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. Be focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.